What if I told you that behind the gilded walls of Buckingham Palace, Queen Camilla is secretly orchestrating a campaign to prevent Prince William from wielding too much influence over King Charles? Sources close to the royal household reveal that Camilla fears William's growing power could not only undermine her position, but potentially destabilize the very foundations of the monarchy itself. The British royal family has always been a delicate balance of tradition, power, and personal relationships, but never has this balance been more precarious than it is today. King Charles III, after waiting 7 decades to ascend the throne, finally claimed his birthright in 2022 following the death of his beloved mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Alongside him stands Queen Camilla, the woman who was once the most controversial figure in royal history. The woman blamed for the breakdown of Charles and Diana's marriage, now wearing the crown that many believed would never be hers. But within the ornate corridors of Windsor Castle and the private chambers of Buckingham Palace, rarely seen by the public, a different kind of drama unfolds. Prince William, the heir apparent, has grown from the grieving boy who walked behind his mother's coffin into a commanding figure whose presence commands respect and whose opinions carry unprecedented weight with his father. The dynamic between stepmother and stepson, always carefully managed in public, has reportedly reached a breaking point that threatens to expose the carefully constructed facade of royal unity. Charles's own relationship with his eldest son has evolved from the distant, formal interactions of his youth into something approaching genuine partnership. William's successful handling of his royal duties, his popular marriage to Catherine, and his natural ease with both the public and the press have made him not just the future of the monarchy, but arguably its present strength. This rising influence, sources suggest, has created an atmosphere of tension within the royal household that Camilla finds increasingly difficult to navigate. The seeds of this royal power struggle were planted years before Charles became king, but they've grown into something far more significant since the coronation. Palace insiders describe a series of incidents that have gradually escalated tensions between Queen Camilla and Prince William, each seemingly minor on its own, but collectively painting a picture of deep-seated mistrust and competing visions for the monarchy's future. The first signs of trouble emerged during the planning of King Charles's coronation ceremony. Sources reveal that William advocated for a more streamlined, modernized approach to the ancient ritual, arguing that the monarchy needed to demonstrate its relevance to contemporary Britain. His suggestions reportedly included reducing the ceremony's length, incorporating more diverse religious representations, and ensuring the event reflected the multicultural nature of modern Britain. Camilla, however, was said to favor a more traditional approach, viewing the coronation as an opportunity to cement her own legitimacy through the weight of historical precedent. Behind closed doors at Clarence House, heated discussions allegedly took place about everything from the guest list to the ceremonial procedures. William's influence with his father became increasingly apparent as many of his suggestions were ultimately incorporated into the final plans, leaving Camilla feeling that her own preferences had been overlooked in favor of her stepson's more progressive vision. The situation was further complicated by William's growing role as an unofficial advisor to his father on matters of state. Constitutional experts note that while the Prince of Wales has always been groomed for eventual succession, William's involvement in royal decision-making has reached levels unprecedented for an heir who isn't yet king. Regular private audiences between father and son, sometimes lasting hours, have become a fixture of the royal calendar, with Camilla reportedly feeling increasingly excluded from these crucial conversations. Palace staff members, speaking on condition of anonymity, describe an atmosphere of careful navigation, where schedules are coordinated to minimize direct interaction between the Queen Consort and the Prince of Wales. What was once chalked up to busy calendars and conflicting commitments has allegedly become a deliberate strategy to avoid potential confrontations that could spiral beyond private disagreement into public scandal. The breaking point came during what palace sources describe as a particularly contentious family meeting in the private apartments of Windsor Castle, away from the prying eyes of staff and security cameras that monitor most royal activities. The meeting, ostensibly called to discuss the upcoming year's royal engagements and priorities, quickly devolved into something far more personal and politically charged. According to sources with direct knowledge of the conversation, the discussion began routinely enough, with Charles outlining his vision for the monarchy's focus in the coming months. However, when William began offering detailed suggestions about strategic communications, charitable partnerships, and even potential constitutional reforms, Camilla allegedly interrupted with what witnesses described as unprecedented directness. "Your Majesty," she reportedly addressed her husband formally, despite their private setting. "Perhaps we should remember that there is only one sovereign, and the Prince of Wales would do well to remember his place in the constitutional order." The words hung in the air like a challenge, with William reportedly responding with equal formality, but barely contained frustration. "Your Majesty," William allegedly replied, addressing his father directly while pointedly ignoring Camilla's intervention, "I believe my understanding of constitutional duty is quite clear. My concern is for the future of this institution and the people it serves." The exchange, described by one source as chillingly polite, revealed the depth of the underlying tensions that had been building for months. What followed was reportedly a tense discussion about the nature of influence within the royal family, with Camilla expressing concerns that William's prominent role in decision-making could be perceived as an attempt to bypass the natural order of succession. She allegedly argued that such perceptions could destabilize public confidence in the monarchy, at a time when the institution faced ongoing challenges about its relevance and cost to taxpayers. William, sources suggest, responded by pointing out that his involvement in royal affairs was at his father's explicit request, and that his primary concern was ensuring the monarchy's successful transition into the modern era. The Prince of Wales reportedly emphasized his loyalty to his father while making it clear that he would not be diminished or sidelined in his constitutional role as heir apparent. The conversation allegedly concluded with King Charles attempting to mediate between his wife and son, but sources suggest that rather than resolving the underlying issues, the meeting merely brought long simmering tensions into the open. The formality that characterized the exchange, so different from typical family discussions, reportedly left all participants shaken by the realization of how deep the divisions had become. In the days following this confrontation, palace operations reportedly underwent subtle but significant changes that reflected the new reality of royal family dynamics. Staff members noticed an immediate shift in scheduling protocols, with meetings now carefully structured to avoid potential flashpoints between Queen Camilla and Prince William. The king's private secretary allegedly received instructions to ensure that future family consultations would be conducted through separate channels when necessary, with Charles meeting individually with his wife and son, rather than bringing them together for potentially volatile discussions. This arrangement, while diplomatically presented as a matter of efficiency, sources suggest was actually a damage control measure designed to prevent further confrontations. Queen Camilla's immediate response to the tensions was reportedly to strengthen her own position within the royal hierarchy by intensifying her focus on her official duties and public appearances. Palace observers noted a marked increase in her solo engagements and her efforts to establish her own distinct identity as queen consort, separate from her role as Charles's wife. Meanwhile, Prince William allegedly began conducting more of his discussions with his father through written briefings and formal memoranda, rather than the informal conversations that had previously characterized their relationship. This shift toward more structured communication, while maintaining the substance of their collaboration, created a buffer that reduced the likelihood of spontaneous confrontations with Camilla. The immediate impact on King Charles himself was reportedly significant, with sources describing a monarch caught between his loyalty to his wife and his constitutional duty to prepare his heir for eventual succession. Friends of the king suggest he found the situation particularly distressing given his lifelong desire to modernize the monarchy and his hope that his family could present a united front to the public. The implications of this royal power struggle extend far beyond personal family dynamics, potentially reshaping the monarchy's future trajectory in ways that could influence British society for generations to come. Constitutional experts suggest that the tension between Camilla and William reflects broader questions about the monarchy's evolution and its ability to adapt to contemporary expectations while maintaining historical continuity. The dispute has allegedly prompted discussions among senior palace advisors about the need for clearer protocols governing the roles and responsibilities of different members of the royal family. Traditional precedents, developed over centuries of male succession and clear hierarchical structures, may prove inadequate for navigating the complexities of modern royal relationships, particularly when they involve step-family dynamics and competing visions for institutional change. From a public relations perspective, the royal family's ability to maintain its carefully crafted image of unity and stability could be significantly impacted if these internal tensions become more widely known. The monarchy's recent history, including the challenges posed by Harry and Meghan's departure and the ongoing questions about royal finances and relevance, has already tested public confidence in the institution. The long-term consequences for William's preparation for kingship are particularly significant. If the current tensions persist, they could fundamentally alter the traditional process by which heirs apparent are gradually integrated into the full responsibilities of monarchy. William's relationship with his future subjects could be influenced by public perceptions of his role in current royal dynamics, particularly if he's seen as either too aggressive in pursuing change or too deferential to family pressure. For Queen Camilla, the stakes are equally high. Her historical journey from controversial figure to accepted queen consort represents one of the most remarkable transformations in recent royal history. However, if she's perceived as obstructing necessary modernization or creating division within the royal family, it could undermine the hard-won acceptance she's achieved with the British public. The broader constitutional implications cannot be ignored. The British monarchy's unique position as both a symbol of national continuity and an active component of democratic governance requires careful balance between tradition and adaptation. If internal family tensions prevent effective decision-making or create public perception of instability, it could provide ammunition for Republican movements and critics who question the monarchy's continued relevance. Palace historians note that successful royal transitions have historically required not just constitutional legitimacy, but also family harmony that reinforces public confidence in institutional stability. The current tensions between Camilla and William, if unresolved, could potentially complicate Charles's reign and William's eventual succession in ways that extend far beyond personal relationships. The resolution of this power struggle may ultimately determine whether the British monarchy emerges from this transitional period strengthened by its ability to adapt and modernize, or weakened by internal divisions that undermine its fundamental purpose as a unifying national institution. The stakes, as sources close to the palace make clear, could not be higher for the future of the crown itself. What remains clear is that behind the pageantry and protocol, the British royal family faces challenges that mirror those of any family navigating change, succession, and competing visions for the future, except that